of Atlantis from when it was in a higher dimension. It's obviously in this dimension. Well, the Earth itself went down in a dimension with us. So, and that we're going to go up into another dimension now, and which is another higher vibration. It means we vibrate a lot higher, and so like us, and like I guess after we ascend, I guess maybe that'll be after 2012 or something. The future us will be in a totally different dimension than the past us. So like if the Earth of 1,000 years ago were to like somehow duplicate and exist with the Earth of 20 years, they wouldn't see each other. They'd pass right through each other. They'd be in a totally different reality, a different vibration, which actually is a whole nother video. But it's it's supported by science. The strings theory supports it, and the whole idea of even people in your same dimension can be invisible to each other, and that's the idea of parallel universes. But anyways, in a higher dimension we can live longer and all this stuff. But anyways, she said that 950 million or something, 500 billion years ago, 250. I think it was 250 billion years ago is when the wars happened. And these guys, they went down in a dimension, and there's like, and they crashed, they fell, the angels fell, and they were pissed off that they fell because they wanted the other aliens to fall. Maybe they did too, so they were like blaming each other. So they were like, fuck this, we don't want to, that was not unfair that we fell or whatever. So, we're really smart, we're like creator gods. It must have been like really advanced. What they did, I guess, is they created their own universe so that they could ascend in it, and they could just be the masters of their universe. They can, so I guess the universe is created out of this grid lattice that I mentioned, and the black holes that we see are actually what we thought black holes are. They're actually portals from one universe to the next one, maybe in one dimension to the next. And so what they did is they created their own universe from the 11th dimension down, because God would be the 12th dimension, and they couldn't. They were inconsistent with God. They kind of cheated when they were like, they didn't want to play by the rules to ascend again by doing it the slow way. So they made their own universe by taking the energy of God and using a black hole to suck all of the material they needed from God to create their own, dimension. Starting from dimension 9, their own multiverse, starting from dimension 9, I don't know if you call it multiverse, but universe, starting from dimension 11 all the way down, but not being 12. So it was a false universe. It was a holographic universe made out of false light, which he said is a bipolar light. It was like, I guess, like not totally healthy, kind of like living your life under a fluorescent light bulb instead of under the sun, And I guess that's the universe we live in now. We live in a false hologram universe, or some of us do. I guess it all comes down to what your DNA is, what your DNA is written, and so anyways, I'll get that to pretty soon. So they did that, and so they couldn't sort of thrive and live off of the real light of God, the source, 12th dimension, that connects everything. And so they were going to die that way. They were going to run out of energy. It's kind of like a person, that you don't want to play by the rules and get a job. If you don't make that much money, because you didn't go to school the whole time, and then so you're not qualified to be like a real lawyer to make your $300 an hour to live, in a big house like you want. You just get a credit card, and you're living off the credit card so you can live out of your big house even though you didn't finish school. Maybe that's kind of like the analogy. But one of the days their credit card's going to run out. So what do they do when their credit card runs out? Well, then they're going to have to get their crappy job, and then they're going to have to, or keep their crappy job, and they're going to have to, I shouldn't say crappy, but like not as well-paying job, and and not live in their means anymore. Move into their car and live out of a tent and pay off their debt, and then go to school so they can get a real job, a well-paying job, and then they can move back in the house. So instead of doing that, the good analogy would be is they just kept getting credit cards, and then spending those credit cards, even though they know that eventually those credit cards are going to run out, and they're not going to be able to get any more credit cards. Then they're going to have to, eventually move back into the tent. Now, I used the analogy before I used the story. So I guess the story is what they did is like, what were the credit cards? What were the false light? What were they living off of? And I guess what they had to do in order to live and get their life energy is become vampires. They had to, because they were creator gods, they just created new races. They created new, or maybe even races, new universes with starting, the new souls. Maybe they created new souls, or maybe they stole souls from other universes. I don't know, but they created new races so that those races could be inhabited with people, and then they, because those people are parts of God, those souls are parts of God, and they have God energy. They, hold on, my battery's about to die. They, I gotta plug this thing out, or the battery's gonna die. Boom, there we go. Okay. They created these new races so that they could get their energy off of the races. So they were vampires. They were sucking energy off of races, and it was like they were eating races. So they created this race that they could be God over, which is natural. You have like your, the creator God, and then there's a mentor to the other God. But they weren't like mentor; they were like feeding off of them. And then when that race got tired or became advanced enough to be able to be host to another upcoming race, they had to create a new race, and then they feed off of them. So it's all these different aliens feeding off each other and living in their own universe, and then so basically that's what started 250 billion years ago, and that's like the universe we live in now. So that's why we live in the world. It's like a weird explanation. I mean, maybe even if it's not true, it's a damn creative story to explain why this world has so much evil. Because a lot of people, I did have the idea before, is like, maybe this world just has evil because it's just a natural evolution. We don't realize that that it behooves us to be respectful of one another, and to not, torture each other. But maybe it isn't natural. Maybe it didn't have to be like this. And I guess it was the first time in the whole universe of universes, the whole multiverse. And she said she even thought that God itself was surprised that they were able to create their own universe, and then to create their own races and their own souls, maybe even to feed off of, to keep them going. They create the souls because their souls are part of God, so they're living off of God energy that way, because they can't get God energy through the 12th dimension directly to God, because they created their own universe so that they didn't have to ascend again the natural way. But anyway, so I guess that went on for so long, and so that was the origin of evil aliens. So now we have evil aliens who are like vampires, and I do understand the whole idea of vampire, like, somebody who gains, how they would say like the Nazis would gain like sexual, I don't know if that's the proper word. I don't know if they were touching their balls when they were, their dick when they were burning people alive, but they got some kind of like rush from like watching people die, and I admit I have like past life memories of this kind of stuff, and you see it all the time in the world, and every once in a while I see an evil person, especially in third world countries. People feed off of each other's fear, people, get off on, taking advantage of people. Oh, I scared him. You scared him again. I'm laughing at you, like, oh, I win. Or like,